Okay, so to find where all your assignment stuff is on Moodle, including a copy of that form, assessment information is where you go. And as you're aware, but for those that aren't aware that weren't here yesterday, you need to get your assignment in by March the 17th or an extension. If you don't, it's $80 to get that assignment marked as a resubmission. What this means is you can't give yourself an extension. As I said to the first years yesterday, $80 for an assignment marked as a resubmission or $0 for an extension. So if it's going to be late, you need to email me for an extension, and you can find the extension form up on Moodle.
So no more days grace?
I have to talk to the boss about that because I can't answer your question. Yeah. And if you're new to APA referencing, there's a section on APA referencing there as well, okay? And it's pretty typical one we've got. But I'm here for you all to get you through this, okay? So the first assignment is a reflective reading journal. And that reflective reading journal, I'll give myself a copy of it, involves you selecting 3 readings. Okay? Now, where do you get those readings? On Moodle, in the required reading section, you will find reflective journal readings. Okay? That's where you're going to get it. And there are more than 3 readings in there. That is why you get to select 3. Okay, and these are all different from last year and previous years. They're completely new readings. Okay, you select 3 of those and then you read them. Now what I'm suggesting that you do is that for your future reference, you download all of these readings. Okay? And you do a SEX read. SEX. SEX means statement, explanation, example. You read the statement sentences only of each reading, and you find the readings that you actually find yourself a little bit interested in reading. And then you read the reading. Okay, rather than going, I have to read all of these in depth and so choose 3. SEX read all of them and choose 3. Okay, when you've got the 3 readings, you've got to then write an annotation. So an annotation, as you may be aware from last year, is a quick summary of no more than 1 paragraph of that reading. Okay, an annotation of that reading, a summary of that reading. And then a reflection on that reading on how it has challenged your understanding of youth development practice, and how your practice might change in light of that reading. So for example, last year, this guy, Cougar, I really liked, but this is a different reading from him this year. Last year, we had a reading called Questioning My Presence in Youth Work. And what he was doing was saying, I've actually started to reflect on who I am in youth work. That's double loop reasoning, okay? And double loop reflection. And he said, I suddenly realised that being a white man working with black African American boys may not be really a good fit. That I actually might be bringing some hidden bias into my practice. That I might be assuming that these kids are going to go off the rails when they're not going to go off the rails. Okay, and so a reflection might be then from my part, after reading that, is that I have all, and this is not true, I know I've always assumed, because I actually do naturally work really well with young guys, so I've always assumed that actually just because I work well with young guys, that actually it's just okay for me as a female to work with young guys, not thinking about the ethics side, but just because I can set plans for them and I can actually get them going, but now I'm actually realising that actually there might be some things that these young guys can't interact with me about simply because I'm female. And so perhaps in my practice in the future, I know for safety's sakes I need to have a male with me, and I always have, but maybe there needs to be times where I remove my presence away from that male so that the boys can actually have a chance to actually talk directly to him. Now you'd be probably going, Dr. Fee, that's logical, but these readings will challenge you in ways you won't quite, comprehend. There's a really good one there. I think it's the Andy one. I really like it. It's a nice reading. But she's reflecting on herself as a Pākehā counsellor. A really good reading where she's actually looking at colonisation through counselling processes. So how could you apply some of her learning to your practice? Okay, now if you're actually showing you're questioning yourself, and then you're starting to show me a little bit of double loop reasoning. So, part 1 are 3 reading reflections and annotations. Each of those entries are 500 words, so nice short. So don't write a lot in your annotation. Remember, keep it nice and short. This reading really is about blah, 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 and stop it there. Don't give me a whole lot of detail. I'm not marking you on your summary. I just need to know that you've read it, and I'll know that you read it if you can summarise it. I'm really marking you on your reflection. So I want to see, to give you a good understanding, I want to see 150 words on an annotation and 350 words on a reflection. Okay. And then part 2, and I know that many of you cannot do this next week, so I will say on Thursday for the 2 hours, you'll be able to have a professional conversation with me. Okay? It's a sort of supervision style conversation, but not as a supervisor. So you have a professional conversation either with your supervisor or myself, and write a reflective account on that conversation. Okay.
I say shit because I just don't know how I'm going to be in 2 places at once.
So what that would involve is that you've got your 3 readings that you've done, and then you're sitting down having a conversation going, okay, this is what I've learned, this is our challenge, and the sort of questions that I would be asking was, how is your practice going to change? What does this reading mean for you in life? I've read all these readings, so I will be drawing from the readings and asking you how you would develop as a youth development worker.
Is there any chance of doing the conversation earlier than next Thursday?
You can do it like alongside one of the classes next week.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
So the whole assignment ends up being about 2,000 words all up. Okay, but you've got to see, it's easy if you see them in pieces. 500, 500, 500 plus 500.
Are you looking for like connections between the readings?
Overall, if you're wanting an A, that would work really well,
Okay.
because you can actually then reflect on yourself by reflecting on the other reading as well. But that's up to you on that bit.
So you don't really need to concentrate on the connecting all 3
No,
readings?
you don't have to concentrate on that. Okay, so if you turn over to the very back, you'll find that this assignment focuses on learning outcome 1. The students will be able to critically reflect on ongoing development of own positive youth development practice model and justify professional actions under practice supervision. Practice supervision is critically reflect on ongoing practice, and professional actions are justified in practice supervising using critical evaluation of own practice youth development practice model. What do you think I will be looking for when I'm marking your assignment? You'll be able to jot down some answers in the evidence guide.
Critical reflection.
Critical reflection. That's central. If you can critically reflect on your practice, that's the only real point you need to put in there. If you can critically reflect on your practice, you have got this assignment done.
How critical is critical though? Like,
Even if you're able to justify your practice more.
okay.
Because that's what critical can mean, justification as well. You know, there may be one of those readings, T, that actually you resonate. I'll pick on someone's reflection from yesterday, because that would show someone actually engaging in good critical reflection, and that was Laura's reflection at the end of the day, when you said, you know, you tried to use all the PYD stuff back in Zimbabwe when you're over there, and you just found it wasn't resonating. It didn't fit within that cultural context. And that what happened yesterday in class, just justified that feeling that you had while you were over in Zimbabwe. That's a really good example of a critical reflection. It would just be boosted up a bit more.
Cool.
Okay, I'll also expect, other evidence guidance stuff I'll also expect, is that you're using a reading from this folder. Okay, not a reading from somewhere else. Okay, that's what I'm also expecting, and I'm also expecting that there's APA referencing as well. Okay, if you want an A+, you'll need to do the Moodle lesson on what is double loop reasoning. That's the first lesson. And you should then also look at the second lesson, so the getting loopy, but the second kaupapa, which is starting to question those developmental theories. But a lot of it you will know, but some of it will really help you because it goes a bit more into G. Stanley Hall's work and where that came from.
Yeah. Time's party, eh?
Any questions? My key bit of encouragement is, hey, I know that there's transport and stuff like that, but I'm here on the Thursday afternoon between 1 and 3. Those hours are your hours. You have 3 choices in those hours. Okay, the first choice is that you can actually stay wherever you're staying and do your study. And you should be putting that time aside for study, not for anything else. The second choice is that you can come in and work with me as a group or as individuals. If only individuals turn up, I'll work with individuals. The third choice is you can concentrate on those Moodle lessons. The fourth choice for this week is, in preparation for next week, you could watch Bowling for Columbine. We won't be watching that in class, but that will help you understand what's called moral panic, that we'll cover next week a bit more. Bowling for Columbine. And you can access Bowling for Columbine free on Education TV, which you all have got access to.
Is it the school shooting?
Yeah, the school shooting, Columbine shootings, yeah. But yeah, I would say it's been absolute, this is the big thing for me with this new timetable, is wow, I'm actually been given hours. I've been just told, use those hours to make yourself available for your students. So I really would encourage you, make use of those hours because, yeah. And the other thing too is if you end up missing a class and wanting to go over it, you can come in and talk to me about what was covered in that class. So, you know, these hours are yours. I don't want them to disappear.
So Dr. Fee, you know we're going to the part 2, but is it best to have like your 3 readings to come and have a meet with you?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
And I will ask about the day's grace.
Go for that, Dr. Fee.
What do you mean by that?
If that you're aiming to get your assignment in on the 17th, but if something happens and you get it in at 1 AM on the 18th, that we give you some grace.
Is that because of the time difference here in New Zealand, or is that just...
It's just the other side. Yeah. It's just it's in recognition that things happen, and we've had it in the past, but we haven't got it confirmed whether we have it this year.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So it's potentially for the last, which I don't know if
Okay, so what I'll get you all to do now is to pack up, and I'll turn the assignment video off.
Being here, so